Ro Khanna was one of the only Democrats to immediately sound the alarm about suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story. The California congressman joins us now. Just a little bit from what you said to them, that you wrote to them on October 14th, 2020. This seems a violation of the First Amendment principles to restrict the distribution of that material, especially regarding a presidential candidate, seems not in keeping of the principles of NYT versus Sullivan. I say this as a total Biden partisan. The story has now become more about censorship than relatively innocuous emails, and it's become a bigger deal than it would have been. So you're a principled person. You understand the Constitution. You tried to warn them. I think they ignored you, and now you have the revelation that actually, yes, it was happening, Congressman.
Dana, it's problematic. Look, technically they're private actors, but they're effectively a modern public square, and they should not be engaged in censorship. Now, it's one thing for them to say, don't put up sensational pictures of Hunter Biden. I understand that. But to censor the New York Post? Look, the New York Post hasn't written a positive article about me, I think, in my 6 years in Congress. But I would never dream of saying shut them down or don't allow them to publish articles. I mean, that's the whole essence of democracy, and we need to stand up for the First Amendment.
There are some that are out there saying that, well, before they would say that anybody who thought conservatives were being shadow banned on Twitter, that was just being paranoid. And now they're saying, well, of course they de-amplified the hard right, and that was the right thing to do. I don't know if that's the best place to land if you're actually concerned about democracy and freedom of speech. Do you think Elon Musk is doing a good thing by releasing this information?
I do. I do think we have to have transparency. And there are two conflicting values, Dana. On the one hand, we shouldn't be censoring people and shouldn't be censoring them based on viewpoint. What concerns me with the second release of the Twitter files is it seems some people are being censored or de-amplified because of their beliefs. Another thing is to have respect, and I don't think you want these sites to have anti-Semitism or racism, but my understanding is it's going beyond that. It's not just that they're taking down speech that is hate, and Elon Musk has said he wants to take that down. It's that they're censoring based on viewpoint, and that's simply not what we do in this country.
In fact, Elon Musk was responding to another fellow congressman of yours, Adam Schiff from California, who said he was concerned about hate speech. And he wrote back saying, well, actually, the hate speech is down by 1/3 for Twitter now prior to his acquisition. So maybe that will I'm assuming that will continue and that they're working at it. So anyway, we just want to get you on record. We're glad that you came on. You wrote a Wall Street Journal op-ed about this as well, in case anyone wants more information about what the congressman thinks. Also wanted to ask you about this. It's very quiet behind you in the Capitol right now, but that's not going to be the case come January when the Republicans take over the majority. They've already signaled that they're going to do some investigations and oversight of the Biden administration. How do you expect that to go?
Well, I think it depends what the Republicans want to do. Look, I understand that they're going to do investigations. We did investigations when we were in the majority. But I hope at some point we can have legislation. How do we bring manufacturing back to America? How do we deal with China and the fact that they are dominating on certain technologies? Those are the issues, I think, where we can have bipartisan support, and that's what I'd like to focus on.
Speaking of bipartisan support, there was a little bit of a bombshell that was dropped this morning by Kyrsten Sinema. She's the senator from Arizona. She was a Democrat until this morning. She has dropped that. She is going to be an independent, registering that way, but she will caucus with the Democrats on the Senate side. So maybe not a lot of changes to be expected on that front. However, I did want to ask you, traditionally, the Democrats that are incumbents in the Senate support other Democratic incumbents. She's up for re-election in 2024. Do you expect Chuck Schumer and the rest of you to support her in her re-election, or would you allow for her to be primaried and even support a primary opponent against her who would be more of a progressive left Democrat?
I think she's going to face a strong Democrat, Dana, in candor. And the place where I have the most disagreement with her is when she she was principally opposed to it, or whatever reasons, but she opposed having Wall Street and private equity pay a tax on the carried interest. And they weren't being taxed the same way as teachers and firefighters. And I just strongly disagreed with that. So I would support a Democrat there, but obviously it's a free country and she's an independent. I'm glad she's still caucusing with the Democrats.
She, in fact, Gallup, they do a survey every year, and 43% of Americans identify as independents, and so maybe she thinks that this is, one, representative of how she really thinks, and two, perhaps that helps her in her mind in her reelection. We shall see. Long time to go between now and then. Ro Khanna, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.